Let me tell you the story of the scion whose brilliance could not be dulled by scandal, nor eclipsed by war. This is the legend of Gladio Aurum, the golden sun whose ambitions gleamed brighter than any blade or spell he ever conjured. Born beneath the gilded arches of House Aurum, Gladio was all charm and spectacle from his very first breath. His hair shone with the color of fresh minted coin. His laughter tinkled through the halls like silver bells. Tutors lined up at his cradle, fine mentors in fencing and magery, enchanters and bards all vying for the honor to polish the family's latest jewel. Other children memorized kings' lineages or the convoluted threads of politics. Gladio, he learned the art of spectacle, how to slice a ribbon on the wind and spin a spell with a flourish, turning every duel into theater, every entrance into a coronation. And why? Not for the tedious labor of justice or the dusty weight of duty. Gladio wanted only this, to never fade, not in memory, not in legend. Let them whisper for centuries, he mused, fingers idly twirling a golden fleuret. Gladio Aurum, the name you never quite forget. His years in the opulent courts were a constant masquerade, gilded balls and velvet intrigues. Admirers and rivals alike crowded the edges of his spotlight, dazzled or burned by proximity. In salons, they called him the dazzling duelist, the spellbound peacock, and always, whatever the mood, they watched. But brilliance is a jealous thing, and envy a patient knife. The scandal, when it struck, was so spectacularly crafted that no one doubted its stagecraft. House Aurum, guardians of gold and rumor, were accused of treason's oldest sin, selling secrets to a rival kingdom. Their banners fell from noble towers, their invitations dried to dust. Where most nobles would weep or flee, Gladio rebranded. In the smoking ruins of his family's reputation, he simply lifted his chin, donned his sharpest coat, and strode into the world anew. A star falls, a star rises, he quipped, winking at the doubters. Their mistake was thinking the sun itself could ever be exiled. In place of clemency or apology, he offered only a challenge. History would remember him not as the son of shame, but as the hero the world could not ignore. Sword in hand, ego unbowed, an arcane power dancing at his fingertips, Gladio charted a path made of spectacle and starlight, dueling in foreign courts, defending caravans for causes as thin as his patience, dazzling crowds as much with wit as with skill. Wherever he went, rumor followed, the golden knight who could charm a dragon, who would insult a king and live to toast about it by dusk. Yet shadows began to curdle at the corners of his pageants. As tension mounted between rival realms, skirmishes spread like spilled wine. Once glimmering ballrooms became war councils. Friends vanished to the front. The velvet of night was pierced by arrows instead of laughter. In this new world, glory turned grimmer. Where once he had disarmed a foe with a pun and a pirouette, now blood spattered his sleeves and smoke stung his eyes. Still, Gladio performed, each victory an act written to be retold, even as the cost began to gnaw at the edges of his soul. They're watching still, he told himself, scrubbing blood from the filigreed guard of his blade. Let them see that a legend holds fast, even in the mud and misery, especially then. But something bitter brewed in the silence between battles. A voice, once easy to drown beneath applause, began to hiss questions he'd long ignored. Had he saved these villagers for the promise of a song? Was the fire in his blade meant to protect or simply perform? His mirror, once an altar to vanity, became a foe harder to face than any rival duelist. He saw not just the golden hair and perfect posture, but the haunted look in his eyes, a collector of both triumphs and regrets. In the ruined arcades of the Sapphire Gate, Gladio met his most desperate trial. Outnumbered and hemmed in by mercenaries, his allies bleeding in shadow, the world seemed eager to extinguish even this brightest star. He might have fled, the crowd that once cheered now long gone, but he found himself rooted. A memory surfaced, his mother's voice, tender as silver rain. Gladio, darling, some shine is not for the crowd, but for those lost in the dark. For the first time, sword and sorcery became not a performance, but a promise. He fought with ferocity that burned away every mask. His magic shimmered from his heart, not his ego. His sword became the fulcrum, not of applause, but of hope. When the last foe fell, Gladio collapsed to his knees, golden hair dulled by blood and grime, hands trembling. The rescued villagers pressed forward, not to praise, but to simply hold his hand. The gratitude was smaller than a crowd's roar, but deeper. Am I hero or herald? He wondered, breathless, or only the echo of my own legend? Yet in their eyes he glimpsed something undimmed, not awe, but trust, and it filled a hollow place he'd never admitted existed. From that day, Gladio's legend was told not just in the courts or by drunken bards, but whispered where hope was needed most. He still walked boldly, ego never quite forsaken, but now his heart beat for more than spectacle. History did remember his name, not just for the shine, but the shadow he banished. In the end, that was enough. What would you have chosen? Glory without substance, or a single act that could never quite fade? Suggest the next legend for our fireside, and perhaps it will be yours that shines next.